Are y'all ready? It's time. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Moments with Mama Sue. And this is a special Father's Day edition of our webcast. I'm so glad to be able to connect with you all. Just one more time, it's because of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed. And I'm so excited. We got a lot of celebrating to do this weekend. This is Friday. Ooh, happy Friday, everybody. And then we also have Juneteenth weekend. But our primary reason for being here this weekend is because Father's Day is coming up. And we wanted to celebrate fathers in a big way, a spectacular way. So I am so excited that we're going to have an in-depth conversation with some amazing dads. So I want you to go ahead and start liking and sharing this particular broadcast. Be sure to do that. That's how we improve our visibility and our numbers. And if you're with us tonight, we want you to drop those names in the comment section, because at the end of our webcast tonight, I'm going to add all of those names to a wheel, and you'll be able to get to see me do a wheel spin and drawing for some cash app giveaways. So we want to make sure you put your name in the comments thread. And I'd love to know where you're from, especially if it's the first time you're joining me on Moments with Mama Sue. I do a webcast on the first and third Mondays of every month, but this is a special occasion, so we had to come on up in here on a Friday night with some Friday evening vibes. I hope that you guys are getting ready to celebrate a wonderful Father's Day. For many of us, maybe our fathers are not with us anymore, but there are father figures in your life, or people, younger fathers, that you can encourage and be a blessing to. So we just want to celebrate fathers. We want to celebrate the role of fathers, because they matter and they make such a big difference in our lives. Now, I've told you already that I know enough to be dangerous about this technology, but I want to share a few announcements with you at the outset while everybody is gathering, to make sure that we get everybody around when we get to the main event, which is speaking to our amazing dads tonight. I want to remind you that I have a new children's book that is Miss Annie from way down south. She's here and she's available now. You can go to SueRoseberry.com and order Miss Annie. And every purchase comes with audio files that will allow you to hear me singing the story or even a sing along version for your children. And if you order from my website for this first edition print, I am also offering a download of a free Miss Annie coloring book. How marvelous and amazing is that? So we want you to be sure and get your Miss Annie book today. And even if you don't have children, maybe you have grandchildren or nieces or just some special children in your neighborhood or your church, bless them with this book and tell them that they can travel right along with Miss Annie and introduce them to rhymes. We also want you to be aware that I released on Mother's Day a beautiful song that's called Mama, You Mean Everything. I wrote the song and it's featuring Maurice Griffin singing the song. And I say it's for Mother's Day and beyond because for our moms and our dads as well, there ought to be celebration of more than a single day. We ought to love on them all the time, ought to let them know all the time just how amazing and special they are. So we want you to be sure and download it. You can get it wherever digital products are being sold. And of course, you can stream it through all of your digital platforms, but we really would love for you to download that and make it part of your personal library. And if you'll do that, it will bless me so much. Please like and share the Facebook page, Mama Sue Roseberry. I'd love to get my numbers up. You can follow me on Instagram, YouTube. My YouTube channel is available. We want to get all of those numbers up, and you guys can roll with me through everything that I'm doing creatively. Now, I want to share a special tribute to fathers as we're beginning. And after this musical tribute that I'm going to try to get to now, y'all see if my YouTube University skills are floating to the top. I've been really working on all of this. But what I hope to do is share this with you. And as soon as this is over, I'm going to introduce you to some amazing dads. And we're going to have a conversation, a discussion with dads about fatherhood. Enjoy this. The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. So, you could see the lyrics, but I'm told you could not hear any of the sound. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to go back to YouTube University and figure out what happened. I was hearing it beautifully, and I was just really over here grooving and being blessed and saying, Sing Luther Barnes for your faithfulness. You've encouraged all the rest. Now it's your time to be blessed. But anyway, the sentiments were there for all of our dads. So maybe by the end of this, I'll think of something that I want to sing to you as a tribute. But we're going to move on to some scintillating conversation. We have some amazing dads with us, and I can vouch for every single one of them. I have watched them as they have been excellent, excellent dads for their children. And I'm going to begin to bring them to the screen right now. The first is my Brother Rodney Taylor Sr. He is
Yo,
the pastor of the Northside Church of Christ, and we're excited to have him. And we're also bringing to the screen Mike Brackens, who is a business development manager in the Houston, Texas area, formerly of Midland fame, okay? And then we also have the pastor of Parks Memorial Church of God in Christ, Pastor Roy Colvin Sr. Gentlemen, how y'all doing?
doing good.
Doing very good.
Very
Glad to
good.
be here.
Wonderful. Elder Colvin, we're trying to get him in. We've had a few technical difficulties. Y'all know that's how it goes when it's going live, and anything could happen when it's me doing it, okay? So you just hope. There he is.
There you
Woo!
go.
Hi, Elder Colvin. How are you? Frozen. So we will hear from him. We're going to get this sound and this technology thing worked out. But we're grateful for all of you that have joined us tonight. Listen, guys, we're going to be talking about a few things. And in order to get our little discussion started tonight, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. And then we'll move to each one. We'll start with you, Mr. Taylor.
Hello, I'm Minister Taylor, minister of Northside Church of Christ, born and raised here in the city of Midland. Graduated from Lee High School, went to Eastern New Mexico for a little while. Worked at the post office for 33 and a half years. I am now a printer at the Midland Memorial Hospital. And again, I am the new pastor installed in February of Northside Church of Christ. I'm the father of 3 children, 4 grandchildren, married to my beautiful wife, Valencia Taylor, for 17 years. And that's about sums it up for me.
Yes. Well, you forgot to say father of 2.
Huh?
Father of 2.
I have
3.
3.
Yes, 3.
3.
2
I
boys
said,
and a girl. Okay, good. Okay, now we're moving to Mike. Give us a little bit of your backstory.
Okay. So first off, I'm going to say thank you so much, Mama Sue, for the opportunity of being here. I am originally from Midland, Texas, born and raised. After graduation, moved to San Antonio, kind of got my teeth sunk into telecommunications and networking and marketing and sales. Got married then in San Antonio. Through the course of events, moved to Houston. I'm the father of 3. Marcelo, recent graduation, happened about 3 weeks ago. Macario, my second son, and then my baby girl is Mackenzie. Shout out to their mother, Latanya. She is the reason why I am a father, so I'm grateful for that. And so now I am in Houston, still actively a part of ministries, I should say, in different capacities. And so, yeah, that's where I am. I'm Minister Taylor is my cousin. So I'm
because
I'm very happy to be on with him as well. So thank you again for the opportunity.
man,
Absolutely. Elder Colvin, are you able to give us a little bit of history about yourself?
mm-mm.
Retired educator.
It's still cutting out and we can't hear it real clearly.
Technical
He,
difficulty.
I,
Okay. Uh,
I heard okay. Something
I'm a
is still
pastor.
going on.
I'm a pastor of a
Pastor of
and
Parks
I
Memorial.
am a former classroom teacher.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, that sound is not working. We're going to figure it out. And I'm going to suggest that maybe somebody pull him up on a smartphone because you can also sign in via a smartphone. And that may give you some better audio, Elder Colvin, even than the desktop variety, just so that we'll be able to hear you clearly. But we're going to talk a little bit about fatherhood. I'm going to address this question to all of the dads. And I want you to tell me uh, what is the best advice that you were ever given by your father? Best advice you were ever given by your dad. Okay, we'll start with you, Mike.
Okay. So my father passed away when I was 17. And at the time, I'm sure, even before then, I'm sure the last thing that was on his mind was, what is my son going to be like as a father? Right. But the good thing about my family is that my mother left me in good hands. She almost, in a sense, kind of forced me to establish a stronger relationship with Minister Taylor. I'm gonna call him Big Cuz if that's okay. Not to disrespect his his position, but he stepped into that role as a father figure to me, or an older brother even. I will say that Bishop William Anthony Ellis, uh, sleeping in the arms of Jesus, as he would say, he, at that point in time, as I graduated from high school, went to college, I had the opportunity of staying with him. And a lot of the things that I saw him do as a father, I definitely have incorporated into my life. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna go back to Big Cuz. The two things that Big Cuz told me to do a lot of: number one, spend time with them. And then number two, listen. So the best advice that I've ever been given by a mentor, I'm gonna use him as a father figure in this case, was to listen and make sure that you spend a lot of time with them.
Ah, that's good. That is good. That is good. How about you, Elder Calvin? What's the best advice that you ever received from your father? Advice that you ever received from your father?
A Nate
From your father.
and the advice that my father, being raised in East Texas and a farm, uh, he always encouraged me to get an education and to be a part of and even as a pastor, he encouraged me to have a relationship with the Lord. Done. I can say that he was my cheerleader. He encouraged me as I was in athletics. Uh, he encouraged me to be at my best. So I would say most of the time he would tell me big things come in small packages. I was short in stature. Be encouraged to give my best and all that what I do. I am.
Mhm.
Excellent. You know, our fathers are wisdom for us, and they have been through
We
much.
both were short in stature, tall, and all that we tried to accomplish and achieve. So I hope
Coolness. Short don't have anything to do with it. You still are big in character
Man.
and achievement. Okay, wonderful. Great advice to get an education, employ things that you have seen that are positive. How about you, Minister Taylor? What's the best advice that your dad ever gave you?
The best advice Dad ever gave me was the fact that whenever you do something or any type of work for anyone or anything that any profession that you did, to make sure to leave your mark on it. He was like, let people know that you've been there so they can see that you've done something. Because a lot of times, we'll just rush through work and, just to get it done. But he was real big into quality of work. And then the second thing with him was he was a stickler about shining shoes. And he was always saying that wearing bad shoes with a suit is just like washing a car and don't shine your tires. So those were the two things that stick out with me most about my dad. And then I'd like to add one more comment, a comment from my father-in-law, Curtis Wallace, that he stated to me, he always had that saying of, put your hands on something. And I kind of live with all three of those today. Put my hands on something, quality of work, and I make sure that my shoes match my outfit.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, guys, listen, you've gotten great advice and information from your dad. And I know that each of you happen to have dual genders in your children. You have boys and girls. I just had the girls, so I don't know what it was like to have to rear sons. But you had a boy or boys and girls or whatever, a mixture of the two. Which one is the most difficult to parent? Is it harder to parent boys or girls? What you think, Mike?
I guess if you're asking me, I'm going to say boys, because that's the only framework that I've ever known. My daughter, I can say this, my daughter has taught me patience a whole lot more than my sons. I have this paradigm as a man that, my sons are going to do this way, they're going to do it that way. And so I probably have the bigger challenges with raising a son. My daughter has definitely taught me more patience, which entails me listening to my sons a lot more. So it kind of benefits the sons that I have a daughter, but definitely the boys for me.
Oh, that's what Tandria Colvin was saying. She was saying the boys, the boys. Well, listen, what do you think, Minister Taylor? Is it harder to parent a boy or a girl?
For me, it was the girl. It was just a lot of things with the boys. It was a little bit more direct. It's a little bit more, I set a lot more expectation with the boys and had a lot more expectation from them and just different things trying to groom them into being men. I ran into a problem with my girl because, that's daddy's little princess. And so I did a lot more spoiling with her. And so when tough times came, it became a little bit more difficult trying to be a little bit more rough. I just didn't have the knack, with the girl. It was like, I was always careful and a little bit more restraint and discipline with her than I was with the boys, and a little bit more laxed on a lot of other things, a whole lot more protective of her. I just figured, even though I'm protective of all three of my children, my boys, I just felt they could always hold their own. But I was very overprotective of my daughter and stuff, and I kind of spoiled her early on in the years. And so by spoiling her early on in the years, then when she got older, the expectations were already set. And so it became difficult to start to get her to become a little bit more independent and to mature a lot more. So it took her longer, and it was my fault. I can't hear you. I can't hear her.
We got one saying boys harder, one saying the daughter was harder. Elder Colvin, was it harder parenting a boy or a girl? Which was the most difficult? Are you able to hear me, Pastor Colvin? It's killing me that the technology is not acting right. We're gonna have to get with Southern Link or Grande, whoever it is, because sometimes it cuts in and out. We'll come back to that question, and maybe he will be able to type some of his comments. I'm gonna have him put himself on mute, and before we come back with the next question, I'm gonna let him call me, and we're gonna do it like that because I am not going to be defeated. So we will have him call in, and then we'll be able to hear him on the call and be able to hear his voice speaking the answers. Okay, so in light of those facts, what's the most memorable Father's Day gift that you ever got, guys? Best Father's Day gift. Now, everybody gets a mug or a tie, but what was the most memorable Father's Day gift you ever got?
Either one?
We'll start with you.
Okay. The most memorable Father's Day gift for me probably was when the older two were about 8 and 9. And at Faith Temple, they put on a Father's Day presentation. And they got up before the church and they got to say some things about their dad. And that was just a memorable gift for me. It wasn't material. It was just the fact of the comments that they made about me. Just, it overwhelmed me. I always try to hold strong and be all hard and stuff, but it brought me to tears to hear my kids make remarks about me like they did. And then the second most was some comments that my youngest son made when he was getting ready to go to college, and he was doing his essay for his college entrance and stuff. And there was some comments that he made about me, on the example that I was for him and stuff. And so those things it wasn't so much as material things as it was the comments and the love that they showed me was the most important gifts and the most memorable for me.
Ah, that is so sweet. That's so sweet. Elder Calvin, what was the most memorable gift you've ever gotten from your children?
Well, I tell you what, Chopper, Roy Colvin Jr., Chopper went on a fishing trip with me. And he started fishing with a fruit on the end of his hook. So that was for bait. So that was a wonderful gift in one sense, but then a bad gift because he was supposed to be a good fisherman. And I taught him all I knew, but that was one thing that I didn't teach him.
Well, he started with what kind of fruit was it on the hook? Do you remember?
A pear. It wasn't a worm. it wasn't any type of bait that normally you would use, but he thought that he was using the best bait that he could find. So using a fruit, that was not the thing to use, but he was doing the best he could.
That's so cute. That's so cute. Well, we weren't able to hear your response earlier, so I want you to revisit that. What's harder to raise, boys or girls?
I beg your pardon?
Which gender of child is harder to parent, boys or girls?
Well, let's see here. Uh, I would say my son, boy, 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 because my wife is here to work with me with the girl. So, but with Chopper, my son, that was the hardest.
Oh, well, Chopper came through all right. He came through with flying colors. He came through with flying colors. Well, all of you all have been blessed to be part of your children's lives. And we know that in the ideal world, mom and dad would be there and the things happen in life, hiccups happen along the way, and sometimes you don't get to be present for all of the events in a child's life. And we have a lot of single moms raising children, and there are even some single fathers that are parenting children. But can you tell me, do you believe, all of you are spiritual giants in my eyes, do you believe that the church has any role or responsibility in trying to help nurture and guide young children in the church that are being raised in a single parent household?
I start off, I would say absolutely. Absolutely. It's our responsibility to try to meet and interact in any area that we can as being, Christians in the church. A lot of times we are just one time a week type Christians to where we see you on Sunday, and that's about it. But one thing we definitely need to be mindful of, Jesus, and we need to look at the example that he left us. He was about ministering to the needs of the people. And so to me, that is a need. When you see a single parent or single mom, trying to raise men, then it's our responsibility to step in as much as possible. I mean, we have to be careful how we do that. And we definitely have to be prayerful going into a situation like that. But it's definitely the church's responsibility to be there as much as possible to help raise those kids, and especially when there is not a dad present.
And do you feel like the role, especially with males, because in our churches we know that the largest predominant membership is females, and there are a few males, but those mothers are bringing those young boys to church. What can we do to help guide and inspire them, Michael? What can be done by the church to play a role in that?
The interesting thing is that
Uh-oh, something happened. His technology took him out. While we're waiting on him to come back, Elder Colvin, you can address that same question.
I think very important that the church, when it comes down to the single parent, single mom raising, uh,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Elder Colvin.
okay. What I was talking about is that the church plays a very important role in discerning and to have an eye open for single parents, being the single mother with their children. And what we have at Parksman Moore through the Brotherhood, we have established what we call youth connection. And we try to help the single parent, the mom, raising the young males uh, uh, with sports interests. And what we try to do is get them to know that they can have mentored through the older men at our church. We take them out to fishing, fun and games, and we attend their games. We try to make a connection where we can teach them some good values and good principles that mom needs encouragement and mom needs support. So we offer that through the church, through the brotherhood. Men's working with young men, young boys as mentors.
That's fabulous. All right, Mike, we're back to you.
Okay, so which question are we on? Because I wasn't sure which one,
We're on
Pastor
the
Colvin.
question about what can be done in the church to help augment what the parents are trying to do in the home, especially for those parents that are single parenting their children, and what the church can offer, especially to young men.
Yeah, so I think, and I'll probably be the minority in this, but I definitely believe that the church plays a role in the spiritual awareness, the spiritual um, development of young men and young women. I think my mom did it a little differently in the sense that my mother made sure that, just as I was Kojic, right? So we were in church Monday through Friday, and then twice on, or three times on Sunday, if not four. So I was there all the time. But she made sure that she connected me with different organizations that would help me in the upbringing of becoming a man. So I was one of my only friends that was in Boy Scouts. I would go to camps. We would do different things like that. But anytime that I had questions about, or anytime I got in trouble, the first place we would go is over to Pastor Keenan's house. And he would make sure that, he would put me back in the straight and narrow, as it would be. But there's definitely a role on the church. I don't think it's the sole responsibility. It plays a role, but I don't think it's the only thing that the church should be responsible for. I think just the balance of the two, having role models, organizations, different outlets outside of the church are important. The church is important for the spiritual growth, the awareness, and the development.
Excellent. Excellent. And guys, I have worked with youth in church for many, many, many years. And I always found it necessary to try to reinforce whatever was being taught by the parents in the home, and to be just another voice crying in the wilderness and
Mhm.
saying, do what your mama said, because all children go through that age or through a spell where, their parents don't know diddly. They don't know nothing. And then somebody else can say the very same thing, and it can be taken to heart and be like gospel. Why do you think that is? Why is that the case, Elder Colvin? Why are children sometimes non believers?
Well, things starts at home, but kids seem to have a more of a drawing when it's outside the home from another source, getting good teaching and what have you. And they're young, but I think one of the things about children is that they are subject to trust people, and want to be like other people, and I think it's just one of those things where when you have a good parent, or when you have good people from the church to be good mentors that will support good principles and good uh, uh, living qualities, uh, I think that's what children, uh, you can give them the opportunity from the right source, uh, being able to teach them the right things. So they just susceptible, to outside more influences.
Well, it is true. And that's why it's so important for parents to add that spiritual component to the rearing of your children, because you want as many people to love your children as possible. You want as many people to want to see them succeed as possible, whether that's in the private sector, in school, from the home, wherever. We want our kids to win. And so adding that spiritual component and having people who wish the best for them and want to see them succeed is always good. It really does take a village. It takes a village. Listen, we've been talking with dads tonight. If you're just joining us, this is Moments with Mama Sue, the Father's Day edition, where we have some wonderful dads with us. We have the minister Rodney Taylor Sr., and we also have Pastor Roy Colvin and Mike Brackens. And these dads are absolutely amazing. Now, fathers, I have another question for you. Here's a hard one, and you can think about it. What is it that dads are missing out on when they assign all the tasks or all the care for the children to the mamas? Because when they're little and they're babies, there are some dads that don't like to change diapers, and some dads don't like to help with the potty training, and they relegate all of those tasks to the mom. But do you think that they're missing out on some special things and ways to bond with their children? And we'll start with the youngest member of our panel, because he's been there more recently than the others. Mike, what you think?
I don't. So interesting story. I asked the doctor if I could deliver my oldest son. So he allowed me to. He, put the robe on me, the mask and everything, had my little Jerry curl covered up and all that stuff. But I was able to actually pull my oldest one out, right? Cut the umbilical cord, the whole nine. Now, the reason why that's important is because I knew for the longest time that I wanted to be a father. I remember, good, bad, or indifferent. I remember there were some high school friends that I had kids that I would want to babysit, did it in college for a couple of friends. I always knew that I wanted to be a father. And like how much that
We're having distortion. Okay. You knew for the longest time. Start right there.
Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay. I knew for the longest time that I wanted to be a father. So much to the point to where in high school and in college, if I had any friends that I would babysit them. Kids it's a journey. But I don't know that I've missed out on anything as being a father. My kids would probably have to answer that question a lot better than me.
Okay. Rodney, what do you think about that?
I think you definitely miss out, if you don't just really get in there and what they say, get your hands dirty. I think a lot of the intimacy that, the children usually have with their mother, I think society plays a large role in that, because, it's basically taught that the men do certain things and the women do certain things. And I think you have to be careful with dividing up of roles. And when it comes to parenting, that the men have to have a mindset of just taking on the same responsibility, basically as the woman, and you get in there and you share the responsibility. And we wonder why a lot of times that, our boys and our girls are mama's boys and mama's girls. It's because our dad thinks that, if we, a lot of men think if they go make some money and come home, then, it's the woman's duty to basically take care of the children. And I think you miss out on a lot. And it's important that you're right in there doing those things and being intimate with your children, so you'll have better understanding. That better understanding helps you develop into being a better father. And I think passion is very important. I'm just blessed to have a passion for being a father. I just didn't want to just be just a dad or just be a male role. I had a passion for being a father. And so I wanted to be the best that I could be. So, With me, I can change diapers always. I've changed diapers with all my children. I change diapers with my grandchildren, and I can cook. So a lot of the things that, we normally just roll into the women's role, I kind of just did because I just wanted to be that type of dad. I can hear her. I can hear her. We can't hear you.
You saw me doing all like this and wasn't nothing coming out. Oh, technology. I was saying that was good right there. Elder Colvin, what do you think about that? Are dads missing out if they just let the moms do all the heavy lifting?
Certainly, I really believe that dads are missing out and correctly parenting when it's husband and wife, father and mother is teamwork. And one and the other should try to have a balance in their role as parenting, as father and mother. So dads are missing out if they are avoiding the responsibility of helping the mother out in nurturing and raising the children up. Lot of the parenting success is being missed out by a father who is just working and doesn't have time to help out mom with the children. He has a responsibility just as well as the mother. There should be a balance there, and there are a lot of good things will come about you nurturing and teaching and training your child up as a father, just like the mother. So certainly it's teamwork. And this is God's way of allowing children to have parents to be more, as for a father to be close to his children and to impart in them as much as he can with his children. So it's going to take involvement and not shirking responsibility. But this is God's will for husband, the father to work and raise those children up as well as with the mother.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. And listen, while we're at it, let's talk about the fact that even if there are challenges, because sometimes I mentioned earlier, it may be that the father and mother are no longer in relationship as far as each other is concerned, and you have to go the distance trying to make it work for those kids when you're not together as a couple. Minister Taylor, can you address that a little bit? Because I know that is part of your personal testimony.
Yes, that is. And it's very hard, especially when you love your children and you're not in the home with them. But I was determined because I had seen so many other fathers that weren't in the home with their children, just kind of became a paycheck or a monthly payment. And I was determined not to let that be a case. And even though there was a lot of difficulty in the relationship with their mom, there were some things that I had to just take. It wasn't always pleasant for me. And there was a lot of times people was like, I wouldn't take that. But first of all, you're not me. Second of all, I was willing to take it because I love my kids. So there were some things that I had to go through in order to maintain that relationship with my children. And there was things, the times I was getting taken advantage of. It was hard. I had to travel. My kids were moved to San Angelo at one point, and then they were moved to Savannah, Georgia, Athens, Georgia, which is about 23 hours away from Midland. But holidays, I would make that trip. And, I even had a great brother, my brother Gerard, but he even went on a couple of those trips and got them for me and everything when I couldn't get off. So I think it's important that, definitely my relationship with God played a major role, because there were times when frustration set in, disappointment set in. You get into a thing of balancing, do they love me? All these type of things. And when your relationship is split with with the mother like that, then all kind of things can set in. So I just think being determined and passionate about being a father, regardless, and just because you're not in the household does not relieve you of your responsibility.
Ah, I love that. I love that. It's so important for us to be present for our children. One of the questions that has come in the chat, and I thank you guys for being so active in the chat. One of the questions is, with this new generation and all the things that are going on with rearing children, what advice would you have for young men and women? And I'm presuming that they mean people who are parenting, just stepping into roles as parents today. What advice do you have for them? Elder Colvin, we'll start with you.
Well, first of all, again, responsibility and loving that child and being who you are. You want to impart things into that child that will make them a great person, a good person, a successful person. So you're going to have to continue to try to spend time with that child, to be around them, to show compassion and love, be there as a mentor. Uh, there are so many things that you must continue on, whether you are experiencing something in a marriage or divorce or what have you. You still have a responsibility to try to make as much connection with that child, whether it be boy or girl, son or daughter.
Absolutely. All right. Minister Taylor, what do you think? What advice would you give to someone just stepping into being a parent today? What's some helpful hints for them?
My advice kind of holds true from long ago to now. Some things that I had to learn. I had to learn to become a better listener. I was so busy parenting and giving instruction that I wasn't a good listener early on, and I had to develop those skills. Another thing is that I would like to, pass on if you're just, new into parenting. Don't get caught up into careers. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we're out trying to make money and we're trying to achieve all these things after we have children, and we're missing out on opportunities and time with our children. And so in order to provide, we're providing them with a lot of things and material things, but we're not spending that intimate time with them. So my thing is, be careful with your choices and your career choices, and don't let anything take you away from time being spent with your kids.
Oh, that is amazing, because what they want from you more than anything is just your time.
Right.
They want to know that you care. Mike, what do you think about that? What advice would you give to new parents today?
Okay. First off, sorry for the technical difficulty. The advice that I give them, number one, I wouldn't put constraints on what they feel a parent should be. Again, I was blessed and fortunate enough, even to this day, to have someone that I can bounce ideas off of. I know there's been several times where I've called Minister Taylor and said, "Hey, I'm dealing with this. What should I do?" And he's given me solid advice. Even my pastor, the pastors that I've called them. So the advice that I would give them is really try to be as patient as you possibly can. And then the two things that Minister Taylor told me: make sure that you learn how to listen. There's a difference between hearing and listening. So make sure you learn how to listen, and make sure you impart as much time as you possibly can in the lives of your children. That would be the advice that I would give them.
Man, that is great advice. Great advice. Well, let me ask, this is a question that I know others may have. Have y'all had to have the talk with, especially, well, with all of our children as Black children in our world today, as we're seeing all the things that are going on around um, Black Lives Matter and things of that nature, when they get ready to go out and drive for the first time, and you're not there, and they may be stopped by the police or things of that nature. What did you say to them, and how did you convey to them that sometimes Things ain't fair. How did you go about it, Elder Colvin?
Well, this is some strange times that we're living in, and everybody, there was a time when I was coming up where you could trust people, you can smile at people, you can have fun with people, But now we got so many restraints on in our social lives and with others, and so I'm looking at the fact that, well, when I talk with my son, a grown man, got a wife, got a child, I try to listen to him. I try to give him some the best advice on handling problems and matters. Give him my time, and I think he gets encouraged. My daughter is the same way. If there are times when we need to sit down and talk, I try to uh, uh, make that convenient for them, and so that whatever they face in life or whatever they are experiencing, uh, they got some help. They got some help. I try to present myself as a help to my children, to other people, young people, old people. So uh, that's how I would try to uh, be one that would share and from experience and from good judgment to be able to help them in any situation.
Yes. What about you, Mike? What about you? How have you tried to get the talk over to your youngsters?
Yeah, so the advantage versus disadvantage that these children have, mine especially, I know others, is that there is so much that is accessible to them.
Mm.
Um, and what I try to do is I'll watch a movie or I'll watch a video with them, and then we'll have the conversation. I have a very open communication line with my kids. There's nothing. We have what's called a conference, and so I'll take them to Dairy Queen. We'll get some ice cream, and they understand that as long as we're in that place, there's no boundaries. As long as they're still respectful, they can talk to me about everything. And so knowing that they have that with me, I trust that in return, I have that with them. Some of the constraints that, I grew up with, uh, just shy of the civil rights and all of that. We have this mindset of, if we see someone, just make sure you say yes, sir, no, sir, and, get out of the way or whatever the case may be, but not now. They don't have to do that. So taking all of that information that they have and then trying to make it make sense for them and the rationale behind why they have to do this, why they have to be in at a certain time, why they shouldn't drive with loud music and all of those types of things. It's a bit of a challenge, So I've definitely had the conversation, and the only thing that I can pray is that they make the right decisions at the right times with different situations.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Minister Taylor, what do you think?
Well, I definitely agree with Cuz on the praying part. I've had these talks way before here recently, coming up. And I think a lot of mine came from my background, growing up, being born in Midland and then moving to Corsicana. And when I moved to Corsicana and I was about 4 or 5, we were actually under what they call a colored curfew. And so the reality of it was already, I had already dealt with a lot of it. So this is like really not nothing new to me. So I've had this talk, with my kids. My wife has had this talk with my kids. And so we kind of had to start having it even before this uprising now. And the reality of it is we just got to be real with them, but we also got to teach. We can't teach hate. And I think that's the thing that we have to be careful of, because it's easy to get rebellious of the things that are happening to us because of the color of our skin. But we also have to teach Jesus, teach love, but teach reality. And there's just certain things that, even though, quote, we say that we have rights, we really don't have them. And so we have to be understanding. And these are the things that's important that our kids grow up and start working and getting into legislation and things like this to change some things and keep the press on. Because one thing I think, and then I will close, I think the worst thing that we do, and we keep doing it, we get lax. Things get a little bit better and we stop the press. And my personal belief is that we've never fought for equal rights. We've always just fought to be accepted. And until we get the mindset to fight to be equal and get out our mindsets of just being accepted, then we'll grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, we have come through all of this wonderful, wonderful dialogue with these amazing dads. And let me tell you, I think that every single one of them is exceptional. And I've watched them up close and personal, and as well from a distance, sharing their love for their children and also other youth that they come in contact with. And that means the world to me, and it means the world to those young people. So I want to thank our dads who are on tonight. We know that we had some technical challenges, but I hope that you take away from our conversation tonight how important fathers are, how wonderful it is to know that we have caring men in our lives who not only help try to guide us in the right way, but they also share the heavy lifting and want to love our children and be a part of their lives. I do not believe that there is ever a time that we have needed dads as much as we need them now. And if you don't have a father figure in your life, then I want to encourage you to connect with your churches. And we have these gentlemen on who I'm sure have a wealth of love and understanding that they're willing to share with others through their churches and through the various means that they have preference for. Before we give them a parting word, I want them to include how you can connect with them and their ministry, or how you can follow them if you'd like to make connection with them, even after Father's Day, and just get some of this wonderful wisdom that they have to share. And I'll start with you, Minister Taylor. Tell us how we can follow you and connect with you.
Well, there's several ways you can follow me. You can follow me on our Zoom. I don't have the address with me right now, but I'll give you my phone number. It's 432-634-8518. You also can go to YouTube, Rodney Taylor Ministries, and follow me. We're also located at the Northside Church of Christ, 1511 North Fort Worth here in Midland. So those are some avenues that you can contact me.
Absolutely. Okay, Pastor Colvin, how can we connect with you and how can they reach out to you?
Well, I'm a friendly person. I'm a nice person, and I'll be willing to talk with anyone that has a situation, a problem, or anything of that nature. But as a pastor, I am at Parks Memorial Church of God in Christ, located 708 Humble Street in the big city of Odessa, Texas. You can call the church at any time. You can call my cell phone. My cell phone is 432. And then you have 432, and then you have my number with others. And basically, we have at Parks a time where we have on the broadcast, we have a conference line, a prayer line that you can get in contact with us. We can give that to you later. But however, we do have Wednesday night Sunday school Bible study at Parks. And here in Midland, Texas, just come and ask for Coach Colvin, Pastor Colvin. So most everybody knows me here, so you can tune in.
Yes, and Parks Memorial Church is also on Facebook, so you can follow them on social media as well. Mike, how can we follow you and keep up with your flow and what you got going on?
Well, the website to the church is, I'm joking. I do not have a church. Here's what I'll tell you. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Now, what I can offer you is very good perspective. By way of advice, I would probably steer you towards, I almost called him because, Minister Rodney Taylor. I'd encourage you to look him up, and even Coach Colvin. He was introduced to me as Coach Colvin, but Pastor Colvin. I direct you to one of those two, or if there's a pastor that you're serving under, definitely lean on them. But you can find me on Facebook and Instagram to answer that question.
All right. And we are going to follow these gentlemen and continue keeping up with them because they got great stuff to share with us. Now, I ask everybody to be sure and drop your name in the comment section, and I've been keeping up with them. And I'm going to tell you whose names I have. I have Yolanda Brown, Janet Brackens Ibrahim, Lori Williams, Una Merle Evans, Parks Memorial Church of God in Christ, Tandria Colvin, Natalie Lewis Charles, Evelyn Sears Burdett, Linda Busby, Valencia Wallace Taylor, Ella Davis, Lamar Scales, Javon Jones, Hazel Lazette or Leggett, one of the two. Lizette, I think, Gilbert and Monica Villadiel, Beverly Douglas and Edwina Martin and Gerard Taylor. And if I have done what I'm supposed to do, okay, I see Michael Thomas. I'm going to add him to the wheel of names. And if I have done what I'm supposed to do properly, then I am going to be able to share my screen, and we're going to see. Hopefully this will work better than me doing the tribute earlier, and we're going to see if it works out. I'm going to try to share my screen, and we're going to see a random wheel of names. And in that wheel of names are all the names that I have picked. And I think you all can see that. Can you? If you can put that in. Can y'all see that? Everybody can see it. So I'm going to click on that. And this is going to be the first person that is going to win something. Okay. That's the Villadiels. Woo! Yay! Woo! So you need to DM me, Mama Sue Roseberry, and provide me with your Cash App so that I will be able to send you along some coffee money to have coffee and donut with Dad or something of that nature. Okay, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. And here it goes. Here it goes. Here it goes. Woo! Okay. Natalie Lewis Charles. Woo, woo, woo. All right, that's our second winner. Okay, now we got one more coming. The third time is the charm. We got to do, everything in church we do. The one for the Father, one for the Son, and one for the Holy Ghost. So we're going to spin it one more time, and let's see who our winner is for tonight, our Father's Day episode. Well, it's Lamar Scales. All right. So, to all of our wonderful, wonderful winners, that would be Gilbert and Monica Delario, Natalie Lewis Charles, and Lamar Scales. You guys be sure to direct message me on Facebook. You can do that through Mama Sue's Roseberry's page. Direct message me and I will get your Cash App so that I can send that along to you. And we can do that this very night so that you can spend some time with your favorite dad figures having coffee and a donut or whatever choice you decide to make. Thank you so much to this excellent panel of dads. I'm going to let you give your parting word, and then we're going to say Good night. We'll start with you, Elder Colvin. You had so much difficulty, but you hung in there and you brought it in strong at the end.
Well, thank you so much for having me part of this group tonight. And as a father, I am very proud and I am blessed because the Lord has been good to me with two grown children and a wonderful wife. And I couldn't have done whatever I done to raise our children without my wife. My wife is the hero of our parenting. And then to the church. And the church has been my life. And certainly I want to be that light that shines, that reflects the image of Christ with anyone, certainly with our children. And that's all for me. Be blessed.
Ah, that was so kind. That was so kind. Mike?
Again, I am very grateful to be on the panel. I appreciate the opportunity to talk. I absolutely love being a father. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm very proud of my three children, Macario, Marcelo, and Mackenzie. Again, shout out to their mother, Latanya. She is the reason why I'm a father. So I thank God for her as well. So if I'm gonna leave you with anything, so number one, make sure that you are present. Number two, make sure that you are optimistic and positive. And the third thing, understand that you have the power to do phenomenal things in life simply by being a blessing to other people. Thank you again.
Ah, that's great. That's great. And the last words, Mr. Taylor.
First of all, I'd like to thank Mama Sue Roseberry for having me on. It was an honor to be on here. I really enjoyed this. The thing that I would like to leave with everyone is start believing in yourself. I think a lot of times our failure comes because we don't believe in ourselves. And then another thing is don't let society dictate what you should be. Have a passion for your children. You create them, and love your kids. And you can be the best dad ever if you just believe in yourself.
Ah, that's wonderful to know. Listen, you've been faithful, you've been true, and you've done all you could do. And for your faithfulness, it's your time. That's the song I was trying to play at the beginning. But dads, it's your time. Happy Father's Day. For those of you who tuned in with us for the very first time, I hope I'll see you again every first and third Monday at 6:30 p.m. right here, Moments with Mama Sue. On this coming Monday, my special guest will be Robert Earl Dean, who is a radio personality out of San Diego, California. I look forward to seeing you because connecting with you is really the best part of my day. Good night.